Welcome back to Non-Negotiable Living. Today we're diving deep into something that so many women have been walking through without a map or any guidance, and it's perimenopause and postmenopause. So if you're feeling off one week, full of energy, and then the next you're drained and irritable, or if you've suddenly started struggling with your workouts, your recovery, your sleep, and your mood, you're not alone and your body's not broken. You might just be entering a different phase of life. So let's talk about it. First off, let's dive into the difference between perimenopause versus postmenopause. Like, what's the difference? Think of perimenopause as the transition phase. It usually starts in your late 30s or early 40s, and it varies from person to person, but it's a time where your hormones begin to fluctuate wildly. Estrogen and progesterone start to act unpredictably. Some days you're going to feel like Superwoman, and other days you're going to feel drained and like an emotional shell of yourself. So you might start noticing weight fluctuations, mood swings, sleep issues, muscle soreness after workouts, lower motivation, and a lot of brain fog. And that's because estrogen does a lot in our body. It influences our insulin sensitivity, our mood, our muscle protein synthesis, our bone health, and even our brain function. So then postmenopause comes in, and this begins when you've gone through a full 12 months without a period. There's a lot of discrepancies in what health providers consider perimenopause and postmenopause, and they will tell you that there is no way to truly test for it, but you get a lot of doctors saying you're not old enough to be in this stage. If your body feels different, if you don't feel good, if you're noticing the changes, your body is changing. Do not let a healthcare provider negate that or take that away from you. But typically what they say is, you know, you are in postmenopause if you go a full year without a period. So at that point, our hormones begin to settle, but they settle low. So our estrogen and progesterone decline sharply and they stay down, as opposed to when we're in perimenopause, the fluctuations might be more up and down. So when they go low, while it means more stability, so no more hormonal roller coasters, it also means that you lose a lot of the protective effects that estrogen once gave you. So bone loss increases, muscle growth slows, metabolism takes a hit, and your mood can shift drastically from where it used to be. So in perimenopause, your body is very reactive and hormonal shifts can sabotage your progress. But in postmenopause, you'll become more stable, but now you need to have intentionality to stimulate your body to maintain that strength, mobility, and health. So let's talk about the differences in how we should train during those times. You might be asking yourself, what's the best workout for this phase of life that I find myself in? And the answer is, it really just depends on where you're starting. So if you are sedentary, no matter which stage of life you're in, you need to just start with movement. So walking, body weight movements, gardening, lifting things around the house, maybe cycling because it's low impact. You don't need to be doing like crazy HIIT or high intensity structured programs yet. We just need to start with movement. If you are already lightly active, then it's about adding consistency and variety. So it's increasing your lifting to maybe 3 days a week, adding in some cardio days of low intensity steady state, or maybe even some HIIT exercises if that is something that you enjoy. It could be adding in some stretching or yoga if that's not something that you're currently doing, but we have to build the habits first. If you're moderately active already, that's when we get strategic. So that's when we need to start doing heavy lifting 3 days a week. We need to be doing mobility work to keep your joints loose and healthy. We need to add in structured intensity into our cardio, like HIIT workouts, sprint intervals. Stuff like that can help us increase our bone density, which lowers postmenopausal. Also, adding in interval workouts for cardio can actually optimize your metabolism more. It's also going to increase muscle maintenance if you start lifting 3 days a week, and it's going to lower your insulin sensitivity, which spikes as we go through perimenopause and menopause. And if you're highly active, this is where the hormone conversation matters most. So we have to make sure that we are implementing proper recovery protocols, taking rest days, that we are fueling pre and post-workout, that we're following personalized plans for ourselves, because our estrogen influences our recovery and inflammation. So we have to make sure that we are allowing ourselves to rest and recover from all of the exercise that we are doing. So training in perimenopause. Let's talk about the playbook. We have to be consistent no matter what we're doing. If we want to see results from any sort of exercise and nutrition plan, consistency is key. So Our hormones are already unpredictable in perimenopause, so we need to be consistent with our habits. We need to let that be the anchor in our life. We have to lift heavy. We need to be doing the main muscle movements, so squats, deadlifts, presses. We have to ensure that we're using good form so we can avoid injury. We need to be lifting heavier. Heavier lifting leads to stronger bones, more muscle mass, better metabolism. Those are the things that we're after. That's how we're going to combat that perimenopausal weight gain that we typically see. Also, adding in some sprint and HIIT workouts 1 to 2 days a week. So short bursts trigger that mitochondrial turnover and vascular adaptation, which helps boost our mood and it helps increase our fat loss. We need to add some high impact sometimes. So light jumping and hopping can stress our bones in a good way. Bone density declines with low estrogen. So if we start adding in some jump rope or some jumping jacks or stuff like that, it's going to help increase our bone density. And we need to adjust based on how we feel. A lot of women, as they enter perimenopause, start to experience heavier or more chronic periods, heavier flows, more energy swings around their period. So sometimes shifting your workouts off of the first couple days of your period can be beneficial so that you can utilize the best days of energy for your workouts. But if your energy is feeling low, we need to just work on moving our body. So walking and stretching is a great idea. So once you're postmenopausal, the approach is similar, but recovery just takes a little bit longer. So the muscle building experience will be slower. The science behind it shows that in a study in 2024 in the Exercise and Sports Sciences reviews showed that exercise can trigger similar cellular pathways as estrogen, meaning that you can mimic some of the estrogen's protective effects through training even after the actual hormone declines. But what's the catch? You've got to be consistent. So waiting for too long after menopause reduces these effects and it's going to make it harder. So I always use the term, it makes it a bigger hole to dig yourself out of the longer you wait to start. But here's the plan. We have to keep lifting heavy. We have to prioritize rest and we have to implement quality over quantity of workouts. So very focused, structured workouts. Again, 3 lifting days, 2 cardio days is a great method. If you are more advanced in your lifting, you can lift 4 days a week, do 1 day of cardio just to protect your cardiovascular health, and then daily walking. We need to train for strength and mobility. So adding in some balance drills, mobility exercises, and then ensuring that we're lifting heavy to, 1, prevent the effects of osteoporosis, but also to increase that metabolism by building up more muscle is going to be imperative. But following a plan and being strategic and sticking to that consistency is what's going to be key to ensuring your long-term health postmenopausal. All right, so let's talk about nutrition now. Here's what so many women get wrong. When you're dealing with the hormonal fluctuations, when you're dealing with the weight gain and perimenopause, this is not a time to undereat. Protein is number 1. We need to be aiming for 35 to 40 grams per meal, especially starting our day strong at breakfast to bring our cortisol down. Perimenopause blunts our muscle growth signals. So we need more protein to help preserve our muscle mass so that we're not tanking our metabolism. We need to make sure that we're prioritizing healthy carbs. So most of our carbs should be coming from whole fruits, vegetables, and then adding in starches like oats, potatoes, and rice are going to be imperative. We still want to make sure we're getting that carb intake for our mitochondria to keep us metabolically flexible. This is not a time to start cutting carbs. We need to eat before our workouts. Fasted training can actually increase our cortisol and make it harder to lose the belly fat. So it works against your goals. So even a small protein snack can help you adapt better, especially if you're doing morning workouts when our cortisol is highest. We need sleep support. So taking magnesium and L-theanine and nighttime rituals can actually help balance our sleep disruptions from those hormonal shifts. So anytime we can prioritize quality sleep, that is imperative. Postmenopausal, we still need to be keeping our protein high. That doesn't change. We should be eating 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. That always applies. You might start to lose your appetite a little bit postmenopausal, but we shouldn't be skipping meals. We need to schedule them. Our body needs fuel. I always tell people if you struggle to eat or if you're not feeling hungry, then put it on your calendar, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that we need to be eating those meals. Also, supplementation matters. We want to make sure that we're getting in our omega-3s and our vitamin D for bone and brain health. Also, creatine is a supplement that I think every woman after the age of 30 should be taking, both for strength and for brain and cognitive benefits as well. We also want to make sure that we're getting in a lot of fiber, so that 20 to 30 grams a day is really important. And the more that we can get from vegetables, the better, because that's going to help feed our gut microbiome. It's going to improve our digestion. It's going to help minimize bloating. It's going to help our immunity, and it's going to help lower inflammation. So just keep in mind that you are not at the mercy of your hormones. You're not doomed to lose all your strength or gain belly fat or feel exhausted forever, but your strategy has to evolve with age. And things that worked in your 20s are not going to work in your 40s and 50s. So the roadmap includes strength training, daily movement through walking, smart intensity with our cardio for cardiovascular health, prioritizing more protein and more fiber, getting good sleep. We need to ensure we're also managing our blood sugar regulation. We're not eating a bunch of processed carbs. We're not snacking all day. We're not eating before bedtime and spiking our insulin before we go to sleep. And then just making sure that we're prioritizing a lot of fruits and vegetables for gut health and managing our stress well. But you can feel good through perimenopause and menopause. You can build muscle, you can feel confident in your body, but it all starts with education and then taking action and that consistency. So if this episode helped you understand your body a little bit better, send it to a friend who might need to hear it. And if you're ready to finally work with your body instead of against it, just go ahead and shoot me a message on Instagram. Send me the word ready and I can show you how we can work together inside my coaching program. But until next time, stay strong, take care of yourself, prioritize your protein and lifting, and if you need any help, reach out.